Hello all, welcome to Student Blog. In this series of Azure trainings, so we'll be looking at cost management in Azure. So we'll be discussing about factors that can affect cost in Azure, compare pricing calculator with the total cost of ownership calculator, Azure cost management and cost alerts and tax. So compared to other videos, I believe this will be short. So let's go. So factors that can affect cost in Azure. Azure shifts development costs from the capital expenses, that is capex, of building out and maintaining infrastructure and facilities to an operational expense, that is called opex, of renting infrastructure as you need it, whether it's compute, storage, or network, and lot more. So the apex, the operation expenditure, can be impacted by many factors. Some of the impacting factors are like um, resource type, consumption, maintenance, so geography, subscription type, and Azure marketplace. So these are the impacting factors. So we'll discuss one by one. So resource type. Number of factors influence the cost of Azure resources, the type of resources, the settings for the resource, and the Azure region will all have an impact on how much a resource costs. When you provision an Azure resource, Azure creates metered instances for that resource. The meters tracks the resource usage and generate a usage cost that is used to calculate your bill. For example, with a storage account, you specify a type such as blob, a performance tier, an access tier, redundancy settings, and a region. Creating the same storage account in different region may show different cost, and changing any of these settings may also impact the price. With a virtual machine, you may have to consider licensing for that operating system or other softwares. The processor and number of CPs for the VM, attached storage, and network interface. Just like with the storage, provisioning the same virtual machine in different region may result in different cost. So next is consumption. So pay as you go has been a consistent theme throughout, and that's the cloud payment model where you pay for the resource that you are using during a billing cycle. If you use more compute this cycle, you may pay more. If you use the less in a current cycle, you may pay less. It's straightforward pricing mechanism that allows for maximum flexibility. However, Azure also offers the ability to commit to use a set of amount of cloud resources in advance, and receiving discounts on those reserved resources. Many services including database, compute, and storage all provides the option to commit to level of use and receive a discount. In some cases up to 72% also you will get discount. So when you reserve capability or a capacity, you are committed to use and pay for a certain amount of Azure resources during a given period, typically 1 or 3 years. So when the backup of pay as you go, if you see a sudden surge in demand that eclipses what you have pre-reserved, you just pay for the additional resource in excess of your reservation. This model allows you to recognize significant savings on reliability, consistent workloads, while also having the flexibility to rapidly increase your cloud footprint as the needed rises. So next comes maintenance. The flexibility of the market cloud makes its possibility to rapidly adjust resources based on demand. Using resource groups, you can help keep all your resource group organized. In order to control cost, it's important to maintain your cloud environment. For example, every time you provision a VM, additional resources such as storage, network are also provisioned. If you deprovision the VM, these additional resources may not deprovision at the same time, either intentionally or unintentionally. By keeping an eye on your resource and making sure you are not keeping around resources that are no longer needed, you can help control cloud cost. So next comes geography. So when you provision most resource in Azure, you need to define a region where the resource deploys. Azure infrastructure is distributed globally, which enables you to deploy your service centrally or closest to your customers or something in between. With this global deployment comes global pricing differentiates. The cost of the power, labor, tax, and fee vary depending on the location. Due to these variations, Azure resource can differ in cost to deploy depending on the region. So network traffic is also impacted based on geography. For example, it's less expensive to move information within Europe than to move information from Europe to Asia or South America. So coming like network traffic, billing zones are a factor in determining the cost of some Azure services. So bandwidth refers to data moving in and out of Azure data centers. Some inbound data transfers like data going into Azure data centers are free. So it's incoming free, but outgoing we need to pay. For outbound data transfers, like data leaving the Azure data centers, data transfer pricing is based on zones. A zone is geographically grouping of Azure regions for billing purpose. The bandwidth pricing page has additional information on pricing for data ingress, egress, and transfer. So next is subscription type. So some Azure subscription types are include usage allowances which affect cost. For example, an Azure free trial subscription provides access to a number of Azure products that are free for 12 months. It also includes credit to spend within your 30 days of your sign in or sign up. You will get access to more than 25 products that are always free. So based on region and region availability. So next is Azure Market. Azure Market lets you purchase Azure based solutions and services from third party vendors. This could be a server with a software pre-installed and configured, or managed network, firewall appliances, or connectors to third party backup services. When you purchase product through Azure Marketplace, you may pay for not only for the Azure service that you are using, but also services or expertise of the third party vendor. Billing structures are set by the vendor. All solutions available in Azure Market are certified and compliant with the Azure policies and standards. The certification policies may vary based on service or solution type and Azure service involved. Commercial marketplace certification policies has additional information on Azure Market certifications. So these are the like compare pricing calculator with the total cost of ownership calculator. So if you see here, pretty simple to understand. Like pricing calculator is designed to give you an estimated cost or provisioning resource in Azure. You can get an estimate for individual resources, build out a solution, or use an example scenario to see estimate of the Azure spend. The pricing calculator focus is on the cost of provisioned resource in Azure. So pretty simple pricing calculator. If you Google it, Azure pricing calculator, you will get a calculator. Using that, you can calculate, like if you are deploying a project and you need requirements of that project, like how many servers required, how many servers with CPU and memory. So when you put all information, you will get a pricing of that one. Based on that, you can proceed further. Same thing with that TCO calculator. which is designed to help you compare the costs for running an on-prem infrastructure compared to Azure infrastructure. With the calculator, TCO calculator, you enter your current infrastructure configuration including servers, database storage, and outbound traffic, network traffic. That calculator then compares the anticipated cost for your current environment with the Azure environment supporting the same infrastructure. It's pretty simple to understand, nothing complicated. So here are the URLs. Even you can put Azure TCO calculator. It will be listed there, and you put the on-prem infrastructure details there, and it will give the cost for all when you use it in the cloud. So next comes Azure cost management tool. So Azure is like a global cloud provider, meaning you can provision resource anywhere in the world. You can provision resource rapidly to meet a sudden demand or to test out a new feature or an accident. So if you accidentally provision new resource, you may not be aware of them until it's time for your invoice. So cost management is a Azure service that helps avoid these situations. So actually, what is cost management? So what is cost management? So cost management provides the ability to quickly check Azure resource cost, create alerts based on resource spent, and create budget that can be used to automate management of resources. So cost analysis is subset of cost management that provides a quick visual for your Azure costs. Using cost analysis, you can quickly view the total cost in variety of different ways, including by billing cycle, region, resource, and so on. So this is the like cost analysis like portal screenshot. Like you can see how much cost when based on that. Like if you use for how much period, how much cost, it will all details available here in this picture. So pretty simple to understand. So next comes cost alerts. So you can configure that cost alerts in the same portal. Cost alerts provide a single location to quickly check on all the different alert types that may show up in cost management service. Three types of alerting types of alerts are there. One is budget alerts, one is credit alerts, and third one is department spending quota alerts. Talking about the budget alerts notify you when spending based on usage or cost reaches or exceeds the amount defined in the cost like alert condition of the budget. Cost management budgets are created using the Azure portal or Azure consumption API. In the Azure portal, budgets are defined by cost. So budgets are defined by cost or by consumption usage when using the Azure consumption API. So budget alerts support both cost-based and usage-based budgets. Budget alerts are generated automatically whenever the budget alert conditions are met. You can view all the cost alerts in the Azure portal. Whenever an alert is generated, it appears in the cost alerts. An alert email is also sent to the people in the alert recipients, like whoever is added to the list, they will get the mail for the budget. So credit alerts. So talking about the credit alerts, like credit alerts notify you when your Azure creditor monetary commits are consumed. Monetary commits are for organizations with enterprise agreements. So credit alerts are generated automatically at 90% and at 100% of your Azure credit balance. Whenever an alert is generated, it reflects in the cost alert and in the email sent to the account owner. So next is department spending quota alerts. Department spending quota alerts notify you when department spending reaches a fixed threshold of the quota. Spending quotas are configured in the like EA portal. Whenever a threshold is met, it generates an email to department owners and appears in the cost alerts. For example, when it reaches the 50% or 70% of the quota. So a budget is where you can set a spending limit for Azure. You can set budgets based on subscription, resource group, service type, or other criteria. When you set a budget, we'll also set a budget alert. When the budget hits the budget alert level, it will trigger a budget alert that shows up in the cost alerts area. If configured, budget alerts will also send an email that a budget alert threshold has been triggered. So we will see this also, like Azure costing in the portal, all stuff when we do the labs. Okay, don't worry about it. So we will look at it. Next comes tags. What is a tag? So resource tags are another way to organize the resources. For example, you have a marketing team, you have a HR team, so you have some resources, some VMs running for marketing team. You can tag them as marketing. Like you have a like that. Like we can put a owner name, department, or even environment, like dev, QA, test, production. Like that, you can put a tag so that it will be easy for you for billing. So resource management tags enable you to locate and act on resources that are associated with specific workloads, environments, business units, and owners. Cost management and optimization tags enable you to group resources so that you can report on costs, allocate internal cost centers, track budgets, and forecast estimated costs. So operation management tags enable you to resource group according to how critical they are availability is to your business. This grouping helps you formulate service level agreements, and a service level agreement is an uptime or performance guarantee between you and your users. Security tags enable you to classify data by its security level, such as public or confidential. So governance and regulatory compliance tags enable you to identify resources that align with governance or regulatory compliance requirements, such as ISO 27001. Tag can also be part of your standard enforcement efforts. For example, you might require that all resources be tagged with an owner or a department name. So workload optimization and automation tags can help you virtualize all of your resources that participate in complex deployments. For example, you may tag a resource with its associated workload or application name and use software such as Azure DevOps to perform automated tasks on these resources. So these all that's all for this video. I hope this is informative for you guys, and as always, please do subscribe, like my videos, and always reach out to me for any suggestions and queries on my email id vstudentblog@gmail.com. Thank you. Bye bye.